Have you ever wondered why everyone around you just seems to be so behind? Where you can control your emotions about some situation, but other people can't? Or maybe you just had a sense of what was right and what was wrong, and other people just couldn't seem to figure it out. Or you had a bigger understanding of the world other than just popularity and all that stuff. If you said yes to any or all of those things, you're probably a perceptive person like me. Hi, my name is Nora, and welcome to Floor Talk, where it's just like any other rant video, except I'm on the floor. Now, this is episode 1 of Floor Talk, so you are experiencing the birth of a new YouTube channel. So I'd really appreciate if you subscribe because maybe I could actually profit off of these videos, but if not, that's okay too, I guess. I am just kidding. I appreciate every single one of you watching my videos, even if you aren't subscribed, because I like just ranting to random people. So let's get started. Hi, this is Editor Nora, and just to forewarn you, I'm still trying to figure out this little mini mic thing. So if the mic quality is bad in some spots, just bear with me. Now, if you haven't already read the title of this video, which, I mean, if you just clicked on this video because of my pretty face, thank you, but I have a boyfriend. The video is titled, Can Perceptive People Actually Make Friends? Just a disclaimer, I'm not an expert on this subject or anything. I just like to talk about my personal experiences in hopes that somebody else will relate to them. But for me personally, as a perceptive person, it really has not been easy to keep friends. Granted, where I grew up at just wasn't a great place to try and branch out and find people that actually get me, but it still was hard for me anyways. Obviously, starting as like a little kid in kindergarten, it was easy to just get along with everyone because nobody knows what gossip is yet. I did make one best friend though, who had been my best friend up until about 4th grade. Me and her did everything together. In fact, we almost went missing together. We don't really talk about that. And for the most part, up until about 4th grade, again, I got along with everybody else too. It wasn't just that one girl that I was friends with. But the problem starts when I moved to a new school in the 3rd grade halfway through the year. I'm not necessarily going to say why, just because it's like personal stuff, but I moved to a new school for 6 months in the 3rd grade, and it was significantly bigger than the school that I was used to going to. See, where I grew up, my class had 18 kids in it. And we were the biggest class in the entire school, actually. And what's even more mind blowing is that the entire school was kindergarten through 12th grade. So there was not a single class in kindergarten through 12th grade that was bigger than our class. So that kind of puts it into perspective how much options I had for friends at my old school. Anyways, back to the point of me going to an entirely new school. I moved to a much bigger city in the 3rd grade, and the school that I went to had 3 3rd grade classes. Like 3 separate 3rd grade classes, which obviously it's normal for a lot of people, but it was new to me because I just grew up with one class and had the same people every year. So I went to this new school, and I am an anxious person and also not very outgoing and just, willing to introduce myself to new people. So it was hard for me making friends. People introduce themselves to me because that's just what little kids do. But it was hard to like try and find people that I actually wanted to stay friends with. More so wanted to stay friends with me since they already kind of had their groups and were like, oh, it's a new kid. She doesn't seem bad, but I don't know how I feel about her yet. And that's kind of like that for the whole 6 months I was there. Unfortunately, I kind of bounced around to different people and just befriended them, but I never really held a steady like friendship while I was there. And also, I was in the counselor's office every day for like the first week of that school because I missed my old friend, so that didn't help in the friend making process either. But nonetheless, I moved back to my own old town anyways, just because circumstances and personal family stuff. And when I moved back, I found out that none of the girls in my class were friends anymore. Let me rephrase that. There was different groups now of friends, whereas before when I moved, all of the girls just got along together and everything was fine. So that was a bit of an awakening for me because that wasn't how it was when I left. And then all of a sudden to come back to all of my friends not liking each other was really weird. It gets worse though when I find out what caused that. So when I moved in 3rd grade, my best friend had nobody else to really hang out with just because I wasn't her only friend, but I was her closest friend, and she was sad that I moved. So she felt lonely. And so this other girl that, wasn't necessarily like really close friends with her, but got along with everyone nonetheless, decided to hang out with my old best friend because she felt bad for her and, didn't want her to feel sad. And that started a bunch of jealousy, and the next thing you know, there's a bunch of different groups and all of the girls are involved, and it started because I moved. So when I found that out in the 4th grade, I felt terrible for like ruining my class, even though it literally even wasn't my fault, because it's not my choice to move. But I still felt terrible about it because now my class was divided and it wasn't like that before. And so that's kind of my first experience with like being a perceptive person, is that I was hyper aware of the situation, and even though I knew deep down that it wasn't my fault that my class was divided now, I still felt bad and I knew that there was no way that I could go back and fix it. Another factor that played into me struggling to keep friends in elementary school was that a new girl moved to my old school and she befriended my best friend, which I mean, I didn't have a problem with because I just want everybody to get along and it sounded like I really hated her. But at the same time, I also knew that she was not a good influence. She just wasn't really doing good things, and I didn't want to be involved in it. So I didn't really get to be good friends with this new girl, but my best friend did. And unfortunately, that bad influence rubbed off on her, and we got distant because I knew better for myself than to get involved with, bad stuff. And my best friend was friends with this new person that was doing exciting but bad things. And because all of the girls were separated in my class, I didn't know who to really be friends with now. So that 4th grade year, I was actually pretty lonely, unfortunately. A 10-year-old should not be feeling lonely in school, but I did. So that's just great. 5th grade rolled around and I decided to just be myself and tried to find people that would be themselves with me too. And that ended up being a bunch of 4th graders that I couldn't really be in class with all the time, but I got to play with them at recess. I could sit with them at lunch if I wanted to. And it was all right, but it still didn't really feel like people that I was really close with. 6th grade came and things just got weirder, and that was also COVID year, so that wasn't fun either. And 6th grade is kind of the start of the middle school awkward phase. So trying to find friends during that phase in your life and also going through the COVID crisis did not help me at all. In 6th and 7th grade, I kind of had the label of not really a weird girl, but hangs out with weird people. By the way, they aren't really weird, they just weren't afraid to be themselves.
Hey, Editor Nora again. This is not relevant to the video, but as I'm watching and editing my own video, I'm realizing how Midwestern I sound. Like, oh my, by the way.
But it still wasn't a really fun title to have, because at my old school, you're either popular and you do all the sports, or you're weird. Luckily, I wasn't weird enough to get like bullied, but it still didn't feel great knowing that my friends were getting bullied. And honestly, I just couldn't stand really being around a group of people that were constantly being picked on, because I was scared that I was going to get picked on too. And so 8th grade year, I decided to join the other side, which wasn't any better. One, because I felt bad for not really talking to my other friends anymore. And two, because everybody in that group just likes to gossip about everything that they know of.
Just for clarification, just so it doesn't sound like I was a bad person, I already was kind of falling out with those friends anyways. Like, I just wasn't really clicking with them anymore. And if I were like to try and defend myself against the popular people, I would end up with no friends at the end of the day. So that's just for clarification, just so it doesn't seem like I ditched one friend group to try and become better in another.
And my 8th grade year was the second time that I felt like a perceptive person. Every day when I sat at the lunch table full of popular people, I thought to myself, do they really believe all of these things that they're saying, or are they just saying them to try and seem cool? Because if you do believe everything that you're saying about these people that haven't done anything to you, then you are just simply rude. And if you don't actually believe all of the things that you're saying, why are you saying it in the first place? It's not really making you a cool person. The thing is that I'm introverted and I didn't have the courage to confront these people, especially since I was really the only one that probably would confront these people. I'd be like all alone in this situation. So I couldn't do anything to change it. I could have, but I don't know how that would have ended up, honestly. But that's when I got the news that I would be moving again to another school. And honestly, I couldn't be more happy because I was so unhappy at my old town. So on that last day of school, I don't think I even said goodbye to any of my classmates. Maybe a couple that said goodbye to me first, but I genuinely wasn't going to miss any of them because they were not good people. And then the people that would get picked on, I kind of grew out of their mindset. It's not that they were like bad or weird or anyway, but I just became a different person than them, and I was kind of like the only one I felt in my class or in my school even that just like had the way of thinking that I do. Anyways, I moved to his new school, and freshman year I decided that I was going to be an extrovert. Side note, if you are an introvert trying to be an extrovert, just know that a lot of the time it is going to be awkward for you and for everyone else. Not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying if you are an introvert trying to do extroverted things, you're probably going to do them wrong and people are going to be like, why did you just do that? And you're going to be like, I don't know. I joined volleyball my freshman year because it was the sport I played back in my old school. And I made a couple friends from there. I maybe not a couple friends, but I got to be introduced to some girls there before I actually started school, which helped. And then when school started, it was actually so terrifying. Like I don't know if I really talked to anyone that day. I talked to one of the girls that I met at volleyball, but that was about it. For the first couple of weeks of school, I sat with these girls that were basically copy paste of the girls back at my old school. They were literally like gossiping about everyone, and they just acted like they were better than everyone, even though I could clearly tell that they were not. But I sat with them for 2 weeks because I didn't know who else to sit with until I finally got the courage to ask one of the girls that I kind of made friends with at volleyball if I could sit at her table with her. She said yes, which I mean, I feel like I should have figured that in the first place, but I was just scared to ask anyways. So I started sitting at her table, and that table was full of girls, but they weren't judgmental, they were just loud and exciting. And I loved it because this seemed like a group of girls that actually like wanted to be friends with each other. Little did I know there was drama behind the scenes, but I wasn't really a part of that. So, another really big important thing is that in my science class, my freshman physical science class, there was this one boy that I thought was very cute, and I had a crush on him for the rest of the year. Now, freshman year, he's significant to me in my mind, but in terms of like making friends with him, it was really just it was really casual. We only talked in class, and when I added him on Snap, I expected him to snap a lot, but he did not. So I rarely talked to him outside of school, but I did ask him to snowball that year. So we did go to that together, and that was really fun. But other than that, that's really like the only interaction I had with him. I can't really say that we were best friends freshman year. I wish we were, but we were not. But because of that crush, I wanted to try and get to know his friends so I can get to know him better. And luckily, one of his friends joined my choir class second semester. I didn't just try to become friends with this dude because he was friends with my crush. That was one of the reasons, but it wasn't like the main reason. This dude actually seemed like a cool person, and I wanted to become friends with him. So I started talking to him in choir class. And then once it got warmer out, we actually started walking home together after school because I found out that he lives pretty close to me. And to this day, he is my longest close friendship that I've had. I'm not naming any names for respect of privacy, but he I'm really grateful that he's been in my life for these past 2 years. Fast forward a bit to the end of the year, and there's this big group chat made at the last day of school, and we were all gonna go to Dairy Queen. It was some of my friends that I had made throughout the year and some people that I wasn't really friends with, but regardless, we were all at Dairy Queen and it was really fun. And from there evolved another group chat that I unfortunately was not part of, but that those group of people hung out all the time that summer. I felt left out, but I didn't really want to say anything because I thought that if I said anything about me being left out, that they would invite me out of pity. This is another one of those times where I felt like a perceptive person because I felt like if they were actually interested in wanting to like be close friends with me, that maybe they would think to invite me. And I had been pretty good friends with the people that were in this group. So to say that I should like put myself out there and like ask if I could hang out, it felt wrong because I knew that we were close all year and if they really wanted to invite me, they could have, but they didn't. I maybe hung out with them one other time that summer, but that whole freshman year summer was lonely. And I mean, I'm not really mad at them for that, especially since it was like 2 years ago. But I wish I could have been involved. I thought I was close enough with them to, hang out with them, but they didn't invite me to anything and they didn't really notice that I wasn't there. So I wasn't about to try and invite myself because I thought that they didn't really like me that much. Fast forward to the beginning of sophomore year. Turns out that group had had some drama over the summer with a couple of the people that were in it. And they've kind of like changed who was in the group, and I actually started becoming like really good friends with the people in this group. And we made our own group chat. And then we were all friends, and so I was like, "Oh my gosh, like they actually do like me. This is crazy." At the same time, I got a new job. And at the same time, I figured out that I have four, wait, 3 periods in a row with my crush from last year, who, by the way, I still had a crush on. So I have a new friend group going for me, a new job, and new classes with my crush. Friend group is going pretty good. It was really fun, and they all seemed to be kind of perceptive like I am. Like they all kind of saw the way that I saw things. And it was really refreshing to be with that group of people. Secondly, my new classes. So I had like a history class, and then I had lunch, and then I had math class. And all three of those periods were with my crush. And everything important that happened during these periods happened during lunch because my friend, who is also a friend of my crush's, also had the same lunch. So me and my crush got to sit together. It was literally so amazing. And from there, we actually got to be good friends. Third of all, new job, which I then figured out my crush works at the same job now, too. My friend told me to apply to a movie theater, so I applied so that I could work with him. But little did I know, he also told my crush to apply there. I don't know if that was a strategy thing on his part, but either way, I'm now working at the same job as my crush, which then only grew our friendship. But it also grew a friendship of another guy who was also in my band class. I hadn't really acknowledged that this dude was in my band class too much. I knew that he was there, but I didn't really talk to him. But now, working at the same job as him, I actually got to be pretty close to him too, and he became one of my good friends. So now I have a good friend group, a new friend that I made at work, and more interaction with my crush. Like, that's three good things that's happening this year. Eventually, me, my crush, the dude I met at work, and the dude that's both friends with me and my crush made a friend group too. So I was a part of two friend groups, and it was amazing. Then January rolled around, and everything just went downhill from there. It was bad. See, in January, I got into this honor band along with another dude in my band class. And from there, I kind of developed a crush on him too. So now I was in a predicament of having crushes on two people. And to make matters worse, my friend group that I was friends with since the beginning of the school year don't like him at all. And it was for personal reasons, for things that happened like way in the past. So I didn't have a reason to hate him, but all of my friends did, I guess. Long story short, I ended up getting with the dude that they didn't like, and I ended up losing my friend group. I still had my work friend group, like that was still going strong, but I lost a lot of friends. This is where I feel perceptive again because I put myself into my friend's shoes. I was like, okay, so I don't like this guy for personal reasons that happened in the past, but my friend likes him. I'm not going to intervene with her love life because it's not my love life. That's what I would have done in their shoes, but they didn't do that. They just stopped talking to me, and then eventually we weren't friends anymore.
I just wanted to say that that's not everything that happened in that situation. There's a lot more factors that I could get into, but I didn't really want to get into in this video. But basically what I was trying to say is that me getting with this dude should not have affected our friendship, but it did. Anyways.
So the perceptive part of me kind of felt weird because it's not something that I would have done to them. And it felt kind of immature, actually, considering we are the age we are. But nonetheless, I lost those friends, but I still had a good friend group. Plus, no, I had a boyfriend. He broke up with me August before the next school year, aka this school year, so that didn't really last long. Now you may be wondering, Nora, what happened to your first crush? Whatever happened with that? I won't really get into detail, but turns out he had a crush on me the whole time, and now we're dating, so that works out. But now the only people that I'm close with are my boyfriend and the two other people in my friend group. And mind you, they're all boys, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like I'm sensing a pattern because every single friend that I've tried to make have been girls, and now the only friends that I've actually stayed are boys, and they're not emotionally immature. I've gotten to stay friends with these people because they have the same outlooks on life that I do. Now, this is where the perspective part of me comes in and is trying to analyze what events led me here.
Pause. I know I said perspective, I meant perceptive. And disclaimer, I'm gonna be saying perspective the rest of the video because I'm a dumb, stupid idiot. I don't know how, I just forgot how to pronounce the word, but I mean perceptive.
Why am I the way I am? Why am I only friends with dudes? That's such a pick me girl saying, but it's genuinely a question that I've had in my mind. And I think to put it plain and simple, dudes don't make a huge deal about everything. I'm not saying that all girls do either, but it is more likely that they do, myself included. But being a perspective person and thinking about who I am, I've kind of grown out of that.
Okay, hopefully this is the last time I have to come on here as an editor. But that's not to mention that boys can also make a big deal out of everything. I was just lucky enough that the boys that I met and I'm friends with aren't like that. But I know that boys can be the same way. It's just when you've only found girls that have been problematic and then you find boys that aren't problematic right away, it seems more likely that a girl would do that, but I'm not saying that boys can't.
That's not to say that I don't have female friends, because what I didn't mention throughout this whole video is that I have a girlfriend group. I've had a girlfriend group for pretty much my whole life, and they're my cousins. We are blood bound. The difference is, though, is that two of them are homeschooled, one of them lives in Minnesota, and one of them, obviously, I moved away, so I can't go to school with her anymore. But they've been my foundation for who I am as a person because they are also very perspective. So that's not to say that I don't have female friends, but the difference is we don't all go to school with each other and we can't see each other all the time. And we all have different interests and, different styles, and we can all accept that about each other. And I think I just got really lucky with them. I think just since day one, we've all kind of clicked and had relatively the same views on a lot of things. So, the big question, can prospective people make friends? The answer is yes, but it's a very hard and long process, at least for me. You have to be willing to be patient and to accept the fact that not everyone thinks like you. And you also just have to accept the fact that sometimes friendships just don't work out and try and be open. So, all in all, yes, you can have friends. I never said that anyone who is prospective couldn't have friends in the first place. In terms of making them, it might be hard, but you'll always find your people eventually. It's possible, but you just have to be patient and live your life and try not to let anybody else bring you down. I hope you were able to relate to at least one thing in the video and be like, huh, yeah, I do that. If not, I hope you just enjoyed me ranting on and on for a while. But this has been my experience with making friends as a prospective person. This has been episode 1 of Floor Talk, and I hope I can see you again in the future. I don't really know how to make an outro, so I'm just gonna awkwardly end the video here.